Hey, this is Buck Dharma of Blue Oyster Cult, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the MTV studio, AAMP Television. Today's show is brought to you by UppercutChops.com. Check out their tasty selection of all-natural dry-aged USDA, prime Angus, and Wagyu steaks and chops. Wait till you taste their best-in-class New York steaks, the filet mignon, and of course the king of all those gigantic cowboy cut and tomahawk cut ribeyes. Best I've ever had, probably be the best you ever have as well. Check them out at UppercutChops.com. That's UppercutChops.com. Or give them a call, find out what's for dinner. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100 for UppercutChops.com. All right, and a big welcome in everybody listening in on all of our network affiliates, CBS, NBC, Fox, Independence, all those. Plus, everybody watching Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild, Charter, and independent cable affiliates in select markets, Hotel TV, same, as well as everybody on Facebook, on Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Check that out. Fun group, talk about your favorite foods, favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. It makes for friends. Have some fun. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. So this show is dedicated to all of those card collectors like myself. I'm a sports card collector, and some people collect cards, some people collect autographs, and geez, I've been doing it for many, many years. I won't tell you how many because it'll be an age reveal situation, if you know what I mean. But nonetheless, I've been collecting cards literally for 50 years. And cards are great. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey. I pretty much stick with the four major food groups of sports. And some people like to collect other sports too. And geez, even when I was a kid, I do remember way back in the time machine, I collected the Charlie's Angels collecting cards. That's right. I mean, if you know what those are, it's sort of like the TV show from way back in the day, Charlie's Angels, but they had action shots, and that has been duplicated by many other shows as well. Geez, if Batman had them back in the day, I would have collected Batman for sure. But people collect sports cards and autographed photos and all kinds of cool stuff. Memorabilia, baseballs, and bowling pins signed by professional bowlers, and gloves and boxing belts, championship belts, this kind of thing, replica belts. And they have people sign these. And listen, I'm a collector of cards. I don't really do the other things besides cards. I do have a couple of baseballs, and honestly, I think I have 2 autographed baseballs. I really don't have those. I have football helmets, real football helmets, but I just don't have anybody signing them. That's just not what I'm trying to do. Although at some point, we will feature a couple of those here on the show, and we will let people like yourself, everybody that's watching, if you're interested in picking up that particular item, primarily football helmets. We have the little ones, but these are going to be the large, full-scale, legit, regular football helmets that are used in the games. These are not replica helmets. Everything will be authentic from the signature, of course, on the actual authentic helmet. Some of the helmets are game used. Actually, I've got one sitting right here behind me. For everybody watching on TV, I've got a Steelers helmet there. And, of course, to go with that, a Terry Bradshaw signed jersey, etc., with the certificate of authentication. Certificate of authentication. Let's see if I can spit that one out. But more importantly, if we think about what is affordable, well, look, card collecting has been something that people have done in this generation, the generation previous to that, etc. And it's a fun way for those people to, as kids, dream about maybe being a professional athlete. That's how it started for me. And so I look at the old cards that I collected, the games that I went to, the games that I watched on television. And all of those were really driving forces for me to get into the professional sports world. And as I look at my path, it's much different than a lot of other people's paths. But then again, some people say, well, I have the same path. I mean, look, it starts as a kid. You watch it, then you get the cards and so forth. You go to the games, and maybe you get somebody to sign the card. And this is really, from the auto side, this is what today's show is really about. And you say, well, yeah, I have items I would like this person to sign and that person to sign. I don't know how to really go about it. I don't know how to find where these people are and whatnot. I mean, look, there's no single famous athlete autograph schedule per se. Rather, schedules, of course, they change by whatever athlete or league that they're in or event that they happen to show up. And sure, you could find an athlete's schedule, just check their official team or league website, or maybe even these days, you could probably just, I guess, type their name in your favorite search bar, whatever that may be, maybe one that rhymes with noodle. But nonetheless, you can probably find an autograph schedule. And there are big retailers out there that sell these things too. I'm not going to plug any of them because, well, frankly, they're not paying us any money. Now, if they happen to pay us, so for example, this segment is brought to you by XYZ autograph item or whatever, yeah, then maybe we'll go ahead and mention you. But first, you got to do what? Show me the money! That's right. We're going to have to do a little bit of that. Anyway, folks, but thinking about autographed items, and look, you could buy them in different places. You could buy them sports memorabilia websites, and you can buy them from private auto signing companies. So there are several out there that actually organize mail-in and drop-off private autograph signings as well. And look, I could tell you when I was a kid, it was always free. Nobody ever signed anything for money that I knew of. And we could just run up to on the baseball fields. So for example, we go up to where the on-deck circle is or whatnot, or by the dugout, and the players would sign the items willfully because they were once those kids too. Hey, could you sign this? Can you sign my hat? Can you sign my baseball? Or if they're close enough, can you sign my arm or my shirt or whatever the heck it is? Or my hats. That's a real big one. And all of that stuff changed, in my opinion. I don't know for sure the exact date or whom or whatever, but I seem to recall back in the 1980s that it was Ricky Henderson and I believe it was Jose Canseco. That was essentially, as I see it, I don't know what the official is, but that's how I see it, as the beginning of we're going to charge people for autographs. And you say, well, gee, they were innovative or were they greedy? A lot of people viewed them as greedy. And so the autograph demand dropped off for Canseco and Henderson very quickly, as a matter of fact, because nobody else was charging for autographs. And frankly, back in the day, if you were lucky enough to find one, you might have found back in that time, a Barry Bonds autograph, because Barry's one of the toughest people to actually get to sign anything, and I'm not really sure why, but he's not very visible. I guess with all the things that have happened from the baseball investigations for performance-enhancing drugs and all that other fun stuff, maybe that is the situation, because maybe he just sort of disappeared and didn't want to sign anything. But end of day, I mean, Barry Bonds was one hell of a player, even before the whole alleged doping situation or whatnot. Remember, Barry was a five-tool player. He was better than his father, Bobby Bonds, who was really good. I think his father had 400 home runs or whatever the heck it was. I remember seeing him play for my beloved Chicago White Sox as a kid. And so I look at these autographs and say, all right, everything we'll say mid-1980s, it was out there. And if you were a big fan of your favorite team, you'd run down there and you'd get your autographs and whatnot. And I mean, some of the great ones, right? You think of those great players and the list goes on and on. I won't even mention them because you already know who I'm talking about. But people nowadays have said, I want this signed and that signed and this signed. I don't know why, outside of the fact it's a business at this point. But for personal collections, what I have found is that people are spending money, a lot of money, on buying autographed items. I mean, look, again, going to a signing. Look, you got to arrive early. You got to get there early. If you don't get there early, well, let's face it, sometimes they have limited time, those who are signing in the first place. So you got to get there early to essentially maximize your chance. But you also got to check for the deadlines. Look, for private signings, you really might need to mail it in or drop off your item by a specific date. So you can do that because there are authentication services now. It's got to be apparently what the industry standard is. It's got to be the right organizations to do so, but also be prepared. Look, have your item ready to be signed and consider a pre-approved inscription if available. That's a whole nother discussion, I guess. If you want to look at it that way, you just think about guys like Ichiro, but you can call him Ichiro because that's really how to pronounce it in Japanese. You have to really be prepared for these events and whatnot because, frankly, if you don't, you could be running into a situation where maybe you're going to see Michael Jordan by chance. And if you're going to see Michael Jordan somewhere, I mean, if you don't have your item ready, chances are he's not going to sign it anyway. I played blackjack with Michael Jordan at the Mirage way back in the day. I think it was 1989. I think it was 1989. And it was just people playing blackjack. Nobody was asking for anything and whatnot. And this was before he won any NBA championships. But Michael Jordan was just another guy out there like everybody else. And again, if it was, hey, could you sign this or whatever? Look, folks, there are ways to ask people to sign things. In fact, when we come back, we're going to talk a little bit more about that here on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come, folks. And it is baseball cards, football cards, basketball cards, hockey cards, autographs, memorabilia, whatnot. That's today's show. Let's have some fun with this, folks. Back in a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
Hey, bud, what's your problem?
Excellent.
Stop it!
Excellent.
Stop it!
Excellent.
Attention business owners, you and your customers are listening to this right now. Face it, every business needs customers, even yours. The Sports Circus is a primetime nationally syndicated program that's carried on ABC, NBC, CNBC, and Westwood One News affiliates, plus CBS, Fox, and NBC sports affiliates across North America with coverage from Hawaii to New York. Also, the Sports Circus is available to the 180 million subscribers on iHeartRadio, and the Sports Circus gets about 4 million website visitors per month, which could click through your website and bring sales. The Sports Circus provides great content featuring celebrity guests from sports and entertainment to our audience every weekday, which your company could greatly benefit from by increasing your visibility, foot traffic, eyeballs to your website, and calls from potential customers. Call us right now at
714-948-010100. Again, 714-948-0100.
Or email us at info@thesportscircus.com. That's info@thesportscircus.com. Drive your sales today by advertising with the Sports Circus.
Do you know someone with a drug or alcohol problem? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything. Stop the drug and alcohol nightmare. Are drug and alcohol problems hitting you too close to home? Get help right now. Insurance may cover everything.
800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. 800-831-1560. That's 800-831-1560.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UppercutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UppercutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UppercutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door. store without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at uppercutchops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at uppercutchops.com.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm Roy Firestone. Now it's time to throw it back to Sal.
Thank you, Roy, and welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster, Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. This segment brought to you in part by our friends over at the College of Southern Nevada Athletics. Check them out at csncoyotes.com for upcoming games and events. That's the College of Southern Nevada Athletics, csncoyotes.com. Folks, make sure you check them out. All right, and a big welcome back to everybody listening in on all of our affiliates, independent as well as those that are on the network side. And those include our friends over in Atlanta, WDJY 99.1 FM over in Atlanta. Again, thanks for waking up with us. Thanks for driving home with us. Listening in on WAUD, that's home of the Atlanta Braves out of Auburn, Alabama, ranging from Montgomery all the way to the west to Columbus, Georgia, all the way to the east. Big welcome into our friends over in Eastern Tennessee. Want to say hello to our friends Dave and Temple for joining the Sports Circus. Boy, lots of fun there. And you got one Ohio State fan, and then you've got one from Colorado that doesn't like Ohio State. We got to like that, folks. That's pretty fun stuff. All right. Also, big welcome in everybody else up and down the Midwest, throughout the heartland, all the way out to the West Coast, driving between sunny Southern California and right here in Las Vegas, listening in on 101.5 FM and 107.3 FM Highway Country Radio, home of the Raiders and the Vegas Golden Knights. Big hello to our friends all the way out in Seattle, up to Anchorage, down to Honolulu, CBS Sports 1500 KHK, that's home of the New York Yankees, the Alabama Crimson Tide, and of course the San Francisco 49ers, plus everybody else watching on television, Cox, Comcast, Spectrum, Frontier, Oceanic, Time Warner, Spectrum, Wild Charter, independent cable affiliates, we're applicable, Hotel TV, everybody streaming on Apple, Amazon, Audible, Spotify, Pandora, iHeart, YouTube, Stitcher, Deezer, and all the other usual suspects. Thanks for joining us there. And on Chicago Food Favorites, that is on Facebook, a fun group. Talk about your favorite foods, your favorite restaurants, favorite recipes. Chicago Food Favorites on Facebook. Make some friends, have some fun. Check it out, folks. Now, also, our friends over at Vacation Buddies want to give you a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to this very simple trivia question. Which of these NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Larry Bird, C, Shaquille O'Neal, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777 if you know the answer to that simple trivia question. And by the way, Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want to give you a couple of nights in Las Vegas, Orlando, or Branson if you know the answer to that very simple trivia question. 888-576-5777. Call now. Let's round of applause for them. All right, now back to this autographed and sports card collectors show. This is one of those ones that's kind of touches a lot of people, and me personally it does. This was a requested show, and I had no problem covering this content because, frankly, I'm a collector, and I have been for most of my life. And so, how about this? This was kind of an interesting little blurb here from memorabiliadisplays.com. We always want to make sure that we give the right credit where credit is due. So they put something out, and this was a little while back, and it was an interview with Major League Baseball player, former player Brent Lillibridge to get his perspective on signing autographs. And he spills the beans on the tips and tricks of how to get autographs, from where to sit during spring training to when to arrive at baseball games, of course, during the regular season. Now, mind you, this is just the baseball side, but this is kind of a cool thing because a lot of baseball players' autographs are highly sought after. And so that's why we're going to do this one. And so it reads, for us collectors, there's no better feeling than getting an autograph from one of your favorite athletes. You may have caught this bug from a young age, just like myself, meeting a sports superstar who maybe you pretended to be on the field or wearing their number or trying to replicate their home run swings or whatnot. Even now, they and I get the feeling of nostalgia when I meet particular athletes. I think about that when I was a kid. My greatest day as a kid was when I met Ernie Banks. I'll never forget it. Another story for another time. Anyway, people will go to great lengths, as you may be aware of, for autographs, including sitting outside team hotels and dugouts with their Sharpies, ready, just hoping for the chance to talk with their favorite athlete. Or for those with other means, of course, you can pay hundreds of dollars to get certain signatures like Tom Brady, for example. And of course, this got the people that wrote this thinking, what is the whole autograph experience like for the actual superstars themselves? So they say, luckily, one of their closest childhood friends is a former Major League Baseball player. He was willing to tell all. And Brent Lillibridge grew up in Seattle and played in the majors from 2008 to 2015 with my beloved White Sox. And he had alongside some of the baseball's biggest stars during his stints with the White Sox, actually the Braves, Red Sox, Indians, and Yankees. And it wouldn't be uncommon to see him make Sports Center's top 10 with plays that, well, I don't know, were like robbing Robinson Cano of a game-winning hit and stuff like that. So Brent was a very good player, solid player. Now, according to his perspective, the 4 best places to get autographs for free and where athletes are most receptive to greeting fans and providing autographs are spring training, before baseball games, team hotels, and mail-ins. That's right, mail-ins. Think about that one. I got some addresses for you a little bit later here. But, of course, before they share the details, they want to note that, well, typically, I mean, there are pay events and between $100 and $300 a pop to get people to sign certain things, so don't get your hopes up too high. However, spring training, if you're able to make it to Florida, Arizona in February, March for spring training games possibly as well, this is hands down the best time and the best place to get autos from players of all calibers. So players are more relaxed and there's more downtime with players practicing in the morning and the games in the afternoon. Most players have their roles established so they don't feel like they're fighting for a spot. Prospects who are fighting for spots are also more inclined to sign autos because it's exciting for them to meet fans that maybe their first time ever in signing something and their first trip to the big leagues. So even the most famous athletes will spend 5, maybe 10 minutes before and after practices to sign hats and T-shirts and cards and whatnot. And of course, Brent says these are the 4 best times to get ciggies during a typical game day. Ideally, you'd want to hang out around the clubhouse and catch them walking to and from practice from fields. 9 a.m. practice starts. You can ask on the way into the clubhouse or practice field. 10:30 to 11 practice ends. You can ask them on the way back from the field or the clubhouse. 12:30 players start to arrive to the stadium. Typically 20 to 30 minutes before game time, usually 1 p.m. You can either wait at the clubhouse or as they start to walk to the stadium or at the stadium near the dugout as they are getting loose for the games that they're being played. At 4 o'clock, of course, the game's over. Typically, players will stick around the field maybe 5-10 minutes to sign some items. Or, of course, you can wait outside the clubhouse as they come back. So they, being Memorabilia Displays, posted a really cool map, and that was of the Peoria Sports Complex. You'll have to go check them out online, that, of course, being in the Cactus League. But now, back to this whole article. This is really good stuff. So games during baseball season. Now, where to go? Brent Lillibridge has some really good input on this. Now, while not easy to get an auto at spring training, there is still an opportunity to snag one from players, who knows, maybe even afterwards. But Brent made it very clear that there isn't much of a rhyme or reason while some players will sign and others won't. If a player has a bad game, you probably won't see them wanting to stop for the fans. I've seen that one before. And here are 2 players, or the better yet, the 2 places you can actually get these autos while in season. So batting practice is a good one. And yes, this will be your best chance And Brent recommends coming to the dugout area right when the gates open, about 2 hours beforehand. And the home team hits first, usually from 2.5 hours before game time, for an hour. And then the visitors will hit right afterwards for about an hour, typically ending 30 minutes before first pitch. Also, after the game, not necessarily recommended, since players usually want to get home right after the game, especially if they played poorly. On the rare occasion, you may catch them around the dugout area for a quick ciggy up to maybe 30 minutes after. But your best chance, seemingly, in my opinion, is before the game. So now there's also the possibility at the team hotel during the season. So there are typically a few hotels that will always host the visiting team in each cities. And they're usually the bigger 4 to 5 star properties, such as this one or that one, the big ones, located in the downtown areas. And look, there isn't any site out there really that I know of that posts where the teams are staying, mostly because those group rates are negotiated between the teams and the team hotels, and information usually doesn't necessarily leak. One of my friends is the traveling secretary for one of the Major League Baseball teams, and my understanding is they never, ever, ever disclose where these players are going to be staying at, because quite honestly, it's not a good situation for people to know that information because, well, let's face it, there are safety issues involved too. And so these are things that you always have to consider in the grand scheme of things. So, yeah, again, there really are no information sites out there that really leak this. But, well, there are the super fans out there in your hometown that will usually post where the team is staying, typically through some kind of a tip through the hotel staff or someone who notices the team bus arrives. Expect to do a lot of waiting if you go this route for an auto. But if you do, there's a much better chance that you'll get an auto with a smaller crowd to compete against. So players typically leave the hotel about maybe 3 hours. My experience, we left about 3 hours before game time and 1.5 and to 2 hours after the game. So if you camp out around those times, that might be your best chance. We're going to pick up with this on the other side of the break here in just a few minutes on the Sports Circus. Lots more to come. Don't go anywhere.
If I was your mother and you had a drug problem, I'd grab you by the ear and make you call and get help. You can be in treatment tomorrow and start to get clean in 7 days. Follow Mom's advice and call the Detox and Treatment Helpline now. Write this number down.
800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. 800-814-8628. That's 800-814-8628.
Are you or someone you love struggling with an addiction to drugs or alcohol and want to be set free from the chains of addiction? Then call Addiction Helpline America right now to get the help you need. From drug and alcohol addiction to dual diagnosis treatment, we provide a confidential helpline to help people like you get sober and live happy, substance-free lives.
Treatment helped me get my life back. I was so addicted, the only person I could focus on was myself and what I needed. I hit rock bottom and lost everything. Through treatment, I was able to overcome those demons and focus on my family again.
I used until I overdosed and almost died. That was the end of the road for me. After seeking treatment, I now have hope. I learned skills that help me deal with life on life's terms.
800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. 800-426-4994. That's 800-426-4994.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Investors, keep listening to learn how to get your free gold report. A currency crisis is upon us. The U.S. dollar has been the world's reserve currency for over 50 years, but that is changing. It's time to protect your retirement. Decades of reckless borrowing and spending have critically weakened the dollar. The U.S. has become the world's biggest debtor with over $35 trillion in debt. Plus, the dollar's become weaponized. Countries are dumping it. Investors who wait until it's too late could lose big. There is one safe haven: gold. Diversify your portfolio with a physical asset they can't take away. Call the Reagan Gold Group right now and ask for your free gold guide. Here's our number:
800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. 800-876-7041. That's 800-876-7041.
Hey everyone, Dave Jackson here, ESPN rules analyst on ESPN Hockey, and you're listening to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas at the AMP TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out thesportscircus.com for our upcoming guests, our prior guests, recorded shows which can be found on, of course, all streaming platforms. And also, while you're there, check out the partners page. Lots of great partners at this page, being thesportscircus.com. And one of those is our favorite. That's Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. Al's Number One Italian Beef, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy. If you can't make it over there for some great food, check them out at alsbeef.com. That's alsbeef.com. Learn all about that Italian beef sandwich. And listen, it's a lot different than that awful Philly cheesesteak sandwich. And frankly, there's a difference between frying, which is that sandwich, and cooking, which is a big production to make that Italian beef sandwich. Boy, it is incredible, folks. I got to tell you, if you've never had it, you're really missing out. alsbeef.com if you want to learn more about 117 years ago is when they first created the sandwich, and they still sell it right there. So check them out again, alsbeef.com, or if you're in Chicago, 1079 West Taylor Street in Chicago's Little Italy, and tell them your ringmaster Sal sent you, and who knows, maybe you get an extra pat on the head or something to that effect. But again, check them out, folks. All right, welcome back to everybody. Of course, that is on all of our TV and radio affiliates, and of course, all those streamers as well. And by the way, in case you tuned in a little bit later in this, you're just tuning in right now. In the last segment, right beforehand, we really started getting into the meat and potatoes of the segment. We talked a little bit about vacation buddies, giving away a couple of nights right here in Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or in Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to a very simple trivia question. And I'm going to repeat it in case you're just tuning in. Which of these four NBA superstars won 6 NBA titles? Is it A, Magic Johnson, B, Larry Bird, C, Shaquille O'Neal, or D, Michael Jordan? If you know the answer, call 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777, 888-576-5777. Vacation Buddies is not affiliated with this station, but they want you to have a couple of nights in either Las Vegas, Orlando, Florida, or Branson, Missouri, if you know the answer to that very simple trivia question. Again, 888-576-5777. Call now. All right, back with the sports memorabilia and autographed item situation and sports cards and whatnot. A lot of people collect sports cards like myself, and they collect autographs too these days, and I just never really did that much when I was a kid, but boy, that is big business, folks. And how do you find those athletes to get them to sign their cards or the baseball hats or football helmets or photos or whatever the heck it is, all right? So I left off with an article by an organization that was talking with former Major League Baseball player Brent Lillibridge, and Brent played for 5 different clubs, and let's face it, he was out there. He knows what the rodeo is, been through spring training and whatnot. He says spring training is a great time and a great place to get those autos because there's a lot less pressure. He also mentioned that you could actually hawk the players at the baseball games. You got to get them kind of coming and going. There's not much you can do unless you're at batting practice right around that time. I'm just sticking with baseball for this situation. And also he said that team hotels, but you've got to really be patient, and then you just got to really wait it out. But there's probably not going to be a long line for this. Now, you can also mail your item in to Clubhouse, right? Think about that. So the best part of mailing it into the athletes at their clubhouse is your fan mail will always get to the player. And it's really up to them if they want to sign it or not. And Brent said it could take up to a year for a player to get through all the fan mail. Imagine that. So if you're not in a hurry to get your item back, or even to get it back, you never know, well, you're kind of rolling the dice. So it may be a good idea not to have a very expensive item out there, which, who knows, it could be a rookie card for a great player or something to that effect, and you may not get it back. I'm not sure if you're going to get an Aaron Judge card back so soon, or a rookie card, or a Shohei Ohtani rookie card back so soon. I mean, who the heck knows? I don't know. Nonetheless, the team spring training clubhouse, obviously the preferred method, players have a lot of downtime for a month. So really, this is the better place, as Brent says, to really get them to read through fan mail and beat the rush of mail and send them something in a couple of weeks before practices actually begin. So a full list of the team's addresses at their spring training complex can be found online. Now think about this. Also, the team's clubhouse, mailing your item there will ensure that the athlete gets your fan mail when you send year-round. And of course, again, there is another website for checking out where these particular autos are kept. And these are just Major League Baseball clubhouses. I would imagine you can do the same thing in the NBA and the NFL and NHL too. Now, for your best chance of getting an auto returned, make sure that you pre-stamp and address return envelope or package. Make it easy as possible for the player to send the item back, whether it's a baseball card or hat or whatever the hell it is. Now, keep it small. Think about this. A baseball card or a photo is fine. Try not to send anything bigger, such as a bat or a glove, because it's a little clunky and it's hard to do, but it would be kind of cool to get those. Also, make it personal. Now, a brief letter, maybe, I don't know, a few sentences or so, saying how much that player means to you and thank them for signing that particular item in advance. That's sufficient, as Brent says. And of course, limited quantity. Look, don't go sending a bunch of cards. Maybe it's okay to send a few, but really don't push your luck. 15 max, I guess. But here's the issue, folks. When you think about if somebody's going to sign more than one item could mean, now it doesn't mean, it could mean that you're trying to turn right around and sell those items. And there are certain people that just refuse to sign things because they know as soon as they sign it, it's going to go up onto an auction site. And that is the bigger problem. When it goes up onto the auction site, now it's like, well, hey, what's going on here? What are we really trying to achieve? Oh, that's right. You're trying to get something signed so somebody could turn right around and sell it. And you wonder why these people are charging for their autos in the first place, because they say, well, geez, if we sign something and we're not charging anybody, why should somebody else take that particular item and turn right around and sell it? Where's the ethical value in that? Well, let's face it, folks, there really isn't a lot. And this is the problem, because this is such big business. I'm going to get to the business side of that coming up here in a little bit. But now, again, you can also do this through the mail, but it's not recommended that you mail anything to the player's house. Now, Brent said to avoid this at all costs, there is probably no chance you'll get the item back. So be respectful of the privacy, because it doesn't feel secure when a fan finds the player's home address through tax returns or home records or whatnot, and players will call Major League Baseball security team if they feel unsafe about how fans have conducted themselves about getting autographs or, frankly, even conveniently running into them. Now, you can do this through the mail, and of course, that is something that we just covered. But look, Brent is a few years removed from the game, and he really enjoys getting fan mail and cards and people asking for signatures. So his newest recommendation would be to try through the mail. That's right, through the mail for retired players only, not for regular players, the current players. So for players still in the league, you have a very good chance to not get your item back or to receive it back unsigned. So I would imagine the former players would be a little bit easier to deal with. And of course, one last recommendation is to keep it small and simple in the mail. Cards are the best to send in and out. Don't send anything like large bats or helmets or whatnot, like I'd mentioned before. And of course, for through the mail addresses on former players, the most trusted sources are online and so forth that people say are allegedly the most trusted sources, but I'm not so sure that. I would go right through the public relations for that particular person or the publicist. That may be the best way because you could probably send it to them and they'll get it to whatever athlete you're looking for. And look, there also are a few groups on social media that are dedicated to just this as far as through the mail. And I guess they have some pretty good information of how long it takes to get these items back and what is the percentages that we've seen or they've seen of getting the items back in the first place. You can learn more by looking them up. But please be courteous and send only 1 to 2 cards to have signed. Nothing more. And remember, there are the signing events too. And there are pros and cons of going to these things. Well, they're the best way to get the auto to meet them. And look, it can be quite expensive. And so you will get potentially an authentication right there, which actually is a good thing. So then you got to ask, what is the cost to have this authenticated? That's the one big situation. So when you get something, then you're like, well, I'm going to go ahead and put it out to the universe. Well, it seems as though 80%, and that you can find online, 80% of the autos that are available are fake or reported as fake. So what are you really buying? This is the bigger problem. Look, there's fake baseball cards, football, basketball, hockey cards, whatever. There are fake signatures, and then there are inks and whatnot to use. And as a matter of fact, in the next segment, we're going to run across a little bit of that. So in case you're at one of these signing events and you're thinking, where can we do this? What should we do? What are the do's and don'ts? We're going to cover all of that in just a few minutes right here on the Sports Circus. And listen, folks, maybe we'll reveal a few names for you. And who knows? Maybe you want to have a signature by somebody like, let's just give somebody real quick. How about by Jimmy Connors, 1962 East Valley Road, Santa Barbara, California, 93108. Back here in a few minutes on the Circus. Lots more to come.
That's the sound of sizzling, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks from UpperCutChops.com. Their best-in-class filet mignons, New York steaks, and the king of all steaks, the tomahawk and cowboy cut ribeyes are the best in the business. Even their Prime Wagyu burgers will likely be the best you've ever had. Browse the full selection of steaks and chops at UpperCutChops.com from the comfort of your home or on your mobile device. UpperCutChops.com delivers all-natural, dry-aged USDA Prime Wagyu and Angus steaks and chops directly to your door, without the hassle of going to the grocery store and fight crowds to pick from a small selection of average at best meats with injected steroids, fillers, and coloring added to look good. Find out what's for dinner at UpperCutChops.com or call 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. 714-948-0100. Or make your selection directly at UpperCutChops.com.
Do you own a timeshare? Well, face the facts. You made a mistake. You made a bad purchase. A timeshare is not an investment. It's a money pit that continues forever. If you use your timeshare, that's great. But if you don't and you want to legally get out of your contract, call my friends right now at the Timeshare Exit Hotline. They're an experienced team of lawyers who help good people like you get out of a timeshare contract that they just don't want. Don't throw away your money on maintenance fees. Use it for things you really want. We can help you end your timeshare contract and stop the money drain immediately. If you're ready to move on with your timeshare, call our team right now.
Cancel your timeshare now with a free call. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. 800-298-3173. That's 800-298-3173.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. B-E-E-P-I-N autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.
Hey everybody, this is Brian Urlacher. Welcome back to the Sports Circus.
Welcome back to the Sports Circus. I'm your ringmaster Sal, live from Las Vegas in the AMP-TV studio, AAMP Television. Folks, make sure you check out the store at thesportscircus.com. Lots of great items there. Hats, hoodies, t-shirts, sweatpants, sweatshirts, and coats, and travel mugs, and coffee mugs, and mouse pads, and pillows, all kinds of neat stuff with the clever Sports Circus logo on it. Check it out again, sportscircus.com, and hit store, a shameless plug, of course, for the Sports Circus. Check it out, folks. And of course, the Sports Circus gets the super applause, which is the extendo one. Anyway, thanks for joining us here today on this show for sports memorabilia, autographs and whatnot, and sports cards and whatnot. Listen, folks, I'm a collector just like you, or those people out there that are listening that are collectors, and we've covered a lot of really cool strategies on how to go about getting these autographs and this, that, and the other. And me personally, I'm not an auto guy, but a lot of listeners are. And listen, this is really, really big business. In case you don't know, now a few years ago, the sports memorabilia market was valued at over $33 billion. And that's according to Market Decipher, and was expected to reach $271 billion by 2034. Geez, I almost think it's already there. Anyway, it's growing at about a 22.1% rate. That's crazy. Now, you look at verified market research valuing the current market, I guess, at $27.2 billion. Not really the current, strike that. We'll call it from a couple of years ago, and projecting to reach $32.4 billion in 2031 with a 24% rate of return. And let's face it, other estimates suggest that the 2024 market was around $306 billion with a different forecasted growth rate. So the growth factors, let's face it, online performers. And you've got a whole lot of that, all those online marketplaces, pick your favorite one, all your auction houses and whatnot. But there's big growing consumer interest in this too. And why? It's the commercialization. Now remember, the sports betting thing has also driven that as well. Then there's the old digitization. So digital authentication tools and new technologies are enhancing market growth. But the problem is still 80% of the autos are fake according to multiple reports. And of course, there are big emerging markets in Asia Pacific and Middle East. And of course, there's a lot of money sitting over there, especially for trading cards. So think about the idea of trading cards themselves. They still remain the most popular collectible among sports collectors. Autograph items, they contribute a significant amount to the market's revenue. Game use items, boy, that is growing like wildfire too. In fact, even at baseball games, when anything particular happens that is somewhat noteworthy, there is an authenticator from Major League Baseball right there in the dugouts or on the field, not on the field, but we'll just say in the dugouts in the stadium to authenticate, because they put a holographic sticker on these particular items so they can memorialize them right there and then. And so this is really turning into big business, the old game used items. But you think of all of these sports, everything from autos to game used to memorabilia, whatever. baseball cards. I mean, the numbers are absolutely staggering. And it's not just in North America. I mean, it goes throughout Europe and India and wow. I mean, it's just crazy. If you imagine all the Otani cards over from Japan and everything Asia Pacific, it's insane to realize how much money has been tied up in that space. And people say, well, is it a good business? Of course, it's a good business. And look, you've got these supersonic collectibles from the 1932 Babe Ruth called the shot jersey, $24 million. The 1952 Mickey Mantle card, $12.6 million. 88 Michael Jordan NBA Finals Bulls jersey. Well, strike that, 1998 Michael Jordan. Yeah, it wasn't 88. So that was the last one. $10 million for that. And the old Hand of God jersey from Diego Maradona, $9.3 million. Yeah, so big money, folks. And I mean big money. So think about the most significant signatures on a piece of sports memorabilia. And I'm talking the most signatures, not the most expensive, certainly not my favorite in the grand scheme of things. How about Rob Manfred? 6,750 verified signatures, shattering the previous record of 2,146 set by Cambridge United Football Club on a giant inflatable team jersey. And that was just in the previous December. So you're like, well, where do I sell these things? Well, of course, your online venues. I'm not even going to call them out because they already own so much of the marketplace in the first place, and it's pointless to go ahead and call them out. But how do you do it? Maybe you want to start your own business, and you're thinking, well, geez, after I get all these signatures, where do I go with them? And then, real quick, before we do that, we got a couple of do's and don'ts we want to get out there for the masses. In case you don't know, look, just from the baseball side, I'll pick it up from what we were reading previously with Brent Lillibridge. We think of the idea that, okay, you've got do's and don'ts in the grand scheme of things. How are we going to do this whole memorabilia thing in the first place? How are we going to get people to sign stuff? I mean, look, it's bad to approach these people if they're eating in a restaurant with their friends. Don't do it. It's not cool. It's kind of annoying. And anything more than a few autographs at a time, it's really tasteless, in my opinion. I wouldn't do it. I really don't suggest anybody do that. But then again, people are going to do what they're going to do. I mean, look, bigger items like bats and gloves are preferred over a ball or a card if you're trying to get a signature in person. Those are kind of fun. And Brent says that he knows that you went out of your way to bring that big item, so he'd be happy to go ahead and sign that particular item. And now, knowing, of course, kids may have better chances of getting an auto, ask a friend or a nephew or a niece to come with you, because it's kind of a win-win. They get to experience a game or meeting an athlete. But let's face it, they may help get your signature. It's a little devious way to do it. I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but that's what Brent Lillibridge says, who played big league ball for 5 years. And of course, when you do get the auto, make sure you protect it with some kind of a display case or something. And let's face it, even when it comes to baseball bats, there are display cases with those too. But now, how are you going to sell these? Let's go back to the whole launching the sports memorabilia business. How about that one? So, yeah, you can do it. And it's not that difficult, but you got to have some inventory unless you're planning on doing just-in-time inventory or middling the items out there. So, I mean, look, first of all, you got to really understand the marketplace and landscape, who you're competing with, what the price points are, what your entry fee is, what the cost that you're willing to spend to start your company. Now, again, if you're middling the signatures, you're basically advanced selling them from somebody else, well, then you're subject to your buy side and your sell side and the spread you get to keep. Now, you also have to know who is your target audience besides seemingly the whole autograph world, those people that are seeking the autos in the first place. Who are you trying to sell to? And maybe you might want to research a little bit about who your competitors are, because there are huge companies out there that are doing just this because of the billions of dollars tied up in buying these particular items. And of course, you got to have a business plan. If you don't have a business plan, well, what are you doing? You can't just throw a bunch of crap at the wall and hopefully something will stick. You never know. But the reality is you got to have some kind of method to the madness. And like any good business person, not only when you're starting the company, you also got to know how you're going to get out of it. What is your plan? Are you planning just a short-term operation? Are you planning for maybe 12, 36 months, 60 months, whatever it is? How are you going to get out of this? How are you going to realize your cash out of this outside of operating capital? Because you could sell your business. But you're really going to define your niche. And so, look, you got to also put some real goals together, some smart goals that are attainable, short-term goals, long-term goals. You got to be able to check the boxes on these. It's not that easy, folks, to just start a business and make money. You can start a business and not make money. But to start a business and make money, well, that's kind of like the proof is in the pudding kind of idea. So how do we look at it? We say, well, what is the highest and best use for the money? What is the best way to go about doing what we're trying to achieve? And frankly, how are we as a team going to make a buck? And the team could be me, myself, and I, if you know what I mean, or it could be an organization that you put together with some other people. I mean, really, you have to really create a brand and a reason for people to go to you because there are so many out there. You have to build that brand identity. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you may want to know what I'm talking about. You may want to go find it. And by the way, you got to get those autos. Maybe you want to mail them in. Again, I gave Jimmy Connors earlier, tennis superstar, 1962 East Valley Road, Santa Barbara, California, 93108. And that's by contactanycelebrity.com. In case you don't know, we've got some really fun ones here. Bob Costas, maybe you want to send something to Bob. And they have an address of 15 Central Park West, number 8C, New York, 10023. And I guess we can keep going. How about Daniel Craig? If you're into the big movie scene, how about care of Sally Long Innes, INNES, Independent Talent Group, 40 Whitfield Street, London, WT1 2RH, United Kingdom, right? We've got all kinds of these. And we could do this one all day. How about Tony Danza? Tony Danza was great on TV. He also, as an athlete too, boxing and whatnot. Tony Danza, 16130 Ventura Boulevard, number 400, Encino, California, 91436-2754. Again, provided by contactanycelebrity.com. We have lots and lots of these, folks. So these are kind of fun. And honestly, in the grand scheme of things, it's fun to look for some of these great ones. Me personally, here's a favorite, and that is Clint Eastwood. And you could send that care of Howard Bernstein of Kaufman, Bernstein, Lee, and Robert, 10100 Santa Monica Boulevard, number 650, Los Angeles, California, 90067-4102. And my personal all-time favorite, I Dream a Genie, Barbara Eden. Yes, she's still around. Barbara Eden, 9816 Denbigh Drive. That's DENBIGH Drive. Beverly Hills, California, 90210. How about Barbara Eden? An enormous round of applause for Jeannie. Yes! And that's for I Dream of Jeannie. The best, in my opinion, the best sitcom of all time. And maybe we'll give one more out. How about Brett Favre? Favre for Hope Foundation. 11975 Seaway Road, number B as in boy, 250, Gulfport, Mississippi, 39503. And yes, that is going to do it, folks, for the Sports Circus. I have to tell you, this is a lot of fun. And look, we all at some point are collectors. And if you are so inclined to try to get a Michael Jordan Siggy, here's the last one. Michael Jordan, care of Esty Portnoy, Jump 23 Inc., 5335 Wisconsin Avenue Northwest, number 720, Washington, 20015-2092. In case you missed any of these or the show, make sure you go back and listen to the full episode. Lots of fun here today. That's going to do it for the circus. We'll see you in 23 hours right here on your favorite station. Until then, so long, everyone.
Owning great property is almost impossible these days. At least, that's what people keep saying. They don't know about National Premier Properties. Do you have $350 or a credit card? You can own a great piece of property in a resort community. National Premier Properties has over 51 years of experience helping people just like you purchase amazing properties across the U.S. and in Mexico, Canada, the Bahamas. It takes less than 5 minutes to turn your dream into reality. Visit nationalpremierproperties.com and make it happen now.
Why pay retail for your next car? Just visit beepinautos.com to find your new-to-you car or truck. They find cars for people, even when cars are hard to find. So just go to beepinautos.com and click on Find Me a Car, and they find your perfect car on the wholesale market. Beepinautos.com. They're a car concierge. Beepinautos.com. BEEPIN autos.com. Beepinautos.com. Now you have a friend in the car business when you need it most. Trusted since 2013. Just click Find Me a Car at beepinautos.com.